Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the United States Military Academy. Today, the United States Corps of Cadets will conduct the annual Wreath ceremony honoring of the Buffalo Soldier Regiments and review in honor of our guests from Morgan State University, the 2nd Infantry Division, the 2019 Sports Hall of Fame inductees, and the returning alumni from the class of 1979 and 1984. In the summer of 1866, the 9th and 10th Cavalry and 4 Infantry Regiments were established as all-black units in the regular Army, later nicknamed the Buffalo Soldiers. There are 3 theories about the origin of their nickname: their fierce fighting ability, the hair like that of a buffalo, or the buffalo robes they wore in winter on the frontier. The 9th and 10th Cavalry comprised of 20% of the cavalry troops of the United States Army by 1869. The same year, the 4 infantry units merged into the 24th and 25th Infantry Regiments. Throughout the late 1800s, these 4 units were stationed at dozens of small frontier posts in the western states and territories under austere conditions. The Academy's first 3 African-American graduates, Henry Flipper, class of 1877, John Alexander, class of 1887, and Charles Young, class of 1889, were all members of Buffalo Soldier units at one point in their military careers. During the Spanish-American War, the Buffalo Soldiers were pivotal units in numerous combat engagements, including the Battle of San Juan and Kettle Hill. From 1866 to 1900, 23 Buffalo Soldiers received the Medal of Honor for selfless acts of bravery and gallantry under fire. In March 1907, 89 troops of the 9th Cavalry Detachment arrived from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, to the West Point train station to take over their duties as West Point Cavalry Detachments. The remainder of the regiments were serving on occupation duty in the Philippines. The main duties of the cavalry detachment included grooming and preparing the horses for training, maintaining tack and equestrian equipment, performing guard and other duties, and conducting drill exercises. Cavalry drill took place on the plain, the riding area near the stables, and the indoor riding arena completed in 1909, now known as Thayer Hall. Within months of their 1907 reassignment to West Point, the cavalry detachment had earned the respect of Academy officials and the local community. The Academy Inspector General reported that within the cavalry detachment, the morale has significantly improved, and the equipment and horses were in their best condition in decades. In 1908, the superintendent stated that the cavalry detachment has continued its excellent showing. There is a waiting list now, and only experienced men having former service and excellent reports are accepted. The unit and their families were integrated into the enlisted life on West Point. By World War II, the Buffalo Soldiers conducted cadet horsemanship and animal management classes, riding classes for families living on post, off-duty riding for cadets, the June Week West Point Horse Show, a mounted escort for all funerals, and color guards for visiting dignitaries. The stables, which housed both Army horses and mules, were located in today's buildings 622 and 626 on the southern end of the main post. In 1973, the Academy dedicated the level piece of ground in front of the 2 buildings, Buffalo Soldier Field, and emplaced a plaque on the corner. Today's ceremony marks the annual observance by the Academy, honoring the history of the dedicated Buffalo Soldiers stationed at West Point until the unit was disbanded in 1947 with the end of cavalry instruction for the Corps of Cadets and the elimination of horse cavalry from the Army inventory. Joining us today is in the Superintendent's Review Box is Mrs. Cora Matthews, widow of the last surviving Buffalo Soldier assigned to West Point, Sergeant Sanders Matthews. Please join us in a round of applause as she is presented with flowers on behalf of the superintendent. Also with us today are members of the Buffalo Soldiers Association, seated in the Superintendent's Reviewing Stand. Taking part in the ceremony today are Lieutenant General Williams, 60th Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Command Sergeant Major Jack H. Love, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, West Point, class of 1986. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation by Chaplain Good, and please remain standing for the wreath presentation and the playing of taps.
Let us pray. O Lord, in your word, we read of the mighty horsemen of old who brought dread, who brought victory. Today, we honor the memory of those who continued that legacy here at West Point, the Buffalo Soldiers. We remember those who have ridden here, those who served here, teaching by their word and deed the cadets of West Point. May their memory today be blessed, and may their example of selfless service live on in today's Cadet Corps. Thank you, O Lord, for this day and for this heritage. Amen.
Please be seated. Please be seated. The Academy would like to thank Sergeant Taylor McDade and Specialist Antonio Futrelli of the Horse Cavalry, detachment of the 1st Cavalry Division from Fort Hood, Texas, for participating in today's ceremony. The detachment is one of 7 mounted cavalry units on active duty in the United States Army and brings to life the spirit and proud heritage of the United States Cavalry. Although the era of mounted horses and mules ended during World War II, the cavalry's mission and tradition are still present in today's modern Army. Today, behind the parade field and in front of the cadet barracks are static displays showing current Army equipment to include aviation and armor assets that have been inherited the duties of mounted cavalry in combat.
I'm just trying to be the father, raise a daughter and a son, be a lover to their mother, everything to everyone, up and down, bright and early. I'm all business in my suit. Hey, I'm dressed up for success, from my head down to my boots. Always do my duty, no matter what the price. I've counted up the cost, I know the sacrifice. Oh, and I don't wanna die for you. Live tight to me, I'll bear that cross with honor. Don't come free. I'm an American soldier, an American. Beside my brothers and my sisters, I will proudly take a stand. When liberty be in jeopardy, I will always do what's right. Hey, I'm out here on the front line, so sleep in peace tonight. American soldier, I'm an American. An American. When liberty's in jeopardy, I will always do what's right. Hey, I'm out here on the front line, so sleep in peace tonight, American soldier. I'm an American.
Military drill plays a fundamental role in the history of soldiering. Drill prepared troops for battle, and for the most part, drill procedures used in the days of old copied actual battlefield maneuvers. It was this realistic aspect of drill that made it such an important part of training. Even today, as new weapons call for new tactics, drill remains a necessary and useful training activity. You will see the cadets saluting throughout the review on the command of present arms. Since the earliest of times, men of arms have used some form of salute as a means of greeting one another. In the age of chivalry, horse-mounted knights wore steel body armor which completely covered the face and body. When two friendly knights met, they would each lift their visors with their right hand to expose their faces to each other and use their left hand to hold the horse's reins. Not only did this allow the knights to recognize each other, but it was also a deliberate movement of their sword hand away from their swords. Over time, this action became a significant gesture of friendship, camaraderie, and respect. The act of raising the right hand to the visor continued even after steel body armor became obsolete with the invention of modern firearms. Today, the most commonly observed form of this exchange is the hand salute. It is given as a recognition and friendly greeting to a comrade in the honorable profession of arms. Today, we would like to welcome the 70th Secretary of State, the Honorable Mike Pompeo, class of 1986. For today's review, spectators are reminded to stand and render appropriate courtesies for honors, our national anthem, and when the colors pass by your position. At these times, it is appropriate for civilians to stand with the right hand placed over the heart. Veterans and currently serving members of the U.S. Armed Forces who are not in uniform may render the hand salute. Spectators are reminded not to smoke or drink, refrain from loud talking, and to turn off cellular phones during the review. As a courtesy to others seated around you, kindly take all your pictures from your seat throughout the ceremony. We would also like to remind everyone to please stay off the plane during the review and during the parachute demonstration immediately following. Currently assembled on the plane is the United States Military Academy Band and the band's field music group, the Hellcats. At the time of the American Revolution, the band consisted of a singer, drummer, and fifer, and has evolved into one of the most capable and professional performing groups in the world. As the oldest musical organization in the United States Army, the West Point Band has been inspiring America's leaders for over 200 years. The bugle call just heard was attention. It is used to alert the cadet commanders that the adjutant's call is about to sound, signaling the start of the review. Bugle call is used in the military service of the United States as a direct result of the contact of the Continental Army with European soldiers and armies during the Revolutionary period. Marching in today's parade are cadets from allied nations enrolled in the 4-year program of the United States Military Academy. Upon graduation, they'll serve in the armed forces of their respective countries. Also marching in today's review are exchange midshipmen from the United States Naval Academy and the exchange cadets from the United States Air Force and Coast Guard academies. They are attending West Point for the fall semester. They can be identified by the uniform of their respective academies. A similar number of West Point cadets are attending the other service academies for the same period. The march that will be played as the cadets march onto the plane is Americans We.
On the reviewing line today are the 2019 Sports Hall of Fame inductees and alumni from the classes of 1979 and 1984. Members of these classes served not only in the Army, but in the Air Force, Coast Guard, and Allied nations. Marking the 150th anniversary of the West Point Association of Graduates, 2019 is a year dedicated to honoring the past and preparing for the future of serving West Point and the Long Gray Line. The Corps Cadets would like to express a sincere appreciation to all of them for their outstanding service to our nation. The Commander of Troops for today's parade is Brigade Executive Officer Cadet Captain Austin Murat from Raleigh, North Carolina. His staff consists of the Brigade Adjutant Cadet Captain Ruben Arderi from Naples, Florida. Brigade Operations Officer Cadet Captain Amira Mohammed from Staten Island, New York. Brigade Activities Officer Cadet Captain Joseph Tusing from Fairfax, Virginia. Brigade Military Development Officer Cadet Captain Zachary Aponte from Weston, Florida. Brigade Logistics Officer Cadet Captain Joshua Phillips from Chicago, Illinois. And the Brigade Information Systems Officer Cadet Captain Charleston Rowe from Dedido, Guam. The review part for today's review consists of Lieutenant General Darrell A. Williams, Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Class of 1983. The Honorable Mike Pompeo, the 70th Secretary of State, Class of 1986. Command Sergeant Major Jack H. Love, Command Sergeant Major of the United States Military Academy. Major General Steve Gillen, Commander of the 2nd Infantry Division, Class of 1990. Command Sergeant Major Phil Barreto, Command Sergeant Major of the 2nd Infantry Division. Colonel Curtis I. Buzzard, Commandant of the United States Corps Cadets, Class of 1992. Master Sergeant Eric Salo, Senior Enlisted Leader of the United States Corps Cadets, and Brigadier General Cindy R. Jebb, Dean of the Academic Board and Class of 1982. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for honors and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. Please feel free to sing along with us as it is played. Please be seated.
The pass and review serves two functions for the superintendent. It dismisses the cadets and at the same time provides an opportunity to inspect the state of discipline and training. As the cadets pass and review before the reviewing party, members of each unit will turn their head and eyes and salute on the command, "Eyes right." The marches that will be played as the cadets pass and review are American Exultant, Warrior March, Best of the Corps 84, Morgan State Fight Song, On Brave Old Army Team, and The Army Goes Rolling Along. The United States Military Academy Band is under the direction of the commander, Lieutenant Colonel Todd Addison, with the drum major, Staff Sergeant Nicole Kaluri. The 3rd Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Monty Potter from Graham, Washington. The regimental command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Connor Long from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Preston Butler from Albany, New York. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Felix Thibodeau from Farmington, Connecticut. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Nikita Paraverzin from San Diego, California. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Alexander Martin from Two Dot, Montana. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Ethan Bloom from Springfield, Illinois. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Gabrielle White from Cleveland, Ohio. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Connor McDonald from Pipersville, Pennsylvania. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Trayvon Turner from Bethesda, Maryland. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Jason Green from Powderly, Texas. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Jason Axelou from Hoover, Alabama. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Kyle Garwick from Claremont, California. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Brianna Burnett from Orlando, Florida. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Dalton Burke from Yelm, Washington. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Sky Merriam from Sarasota, Florida. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Hayes Greer from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Caroline Mitchell from Monterey, California. The 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Jordan Tevens from Farmingham, Massachusetts. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Narissa Suet from Michigan City, Indiana. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Zachary Aloma from Simi Valley, California. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Benjamin Hoffman from Cincinnati, Ohio. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Luke Rose from Fort Wayne, Indiana. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Grace Echevarria from Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Company I is commanded by Cadet Captain Kendrick Thomas from Dallas, Texas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Katarina Christensen from Carver, Minnesota. Since the days of the American Revolution, flag bearers have been an important element in ceremonies. At the center of today's formation and bearing the national colors is the United States Corps of Cadets Color Guard. The Color Guard is commanded by Cadet Captain Akil Johnson from Murrieta, California. The 4th Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Jacqueline Hamrick from Grayslake, Illinois. The regimental command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Madeline Burns from Ridgefield, Connecticut. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Christopher Dow from Grayslake, Illinois. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Stephen Rylander from Stowe, Ohio. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Ivanka Nusor from Cypress, California. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Zachary Calderon from Jackson, Michigan. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Andrew Winsky from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Walter Wecker from Redding, California. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Brody Roth from Ticonderoga, New York. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Joshua Samasco from Glenwood, West Virginia. The second battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Zachary Tarble from Ashburn, Virginia. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Justin Cooper from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Jared Broussard from Manchester, New Hampshire. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Dane Rickerson from Eagan, Minnesota. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Ashley Kim from San Antonio, Texas. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Mark Jascott from Burke, Virginia. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Joshua Fonseca from Tawnytown, Maryland. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Zachary Witten from Bluffton, South Carolina. The third battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Emily McKinney from Southwick, Massachusetts. The battalion command sergeant major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Thomas Morin from Weston, Florida. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Joshua Mooney from Sparks, Nevada. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Connor Yaus from Cincinnati, Ohio. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Brian Suarez from San Francisco, California. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant David Witt from Eagle, Colorado. Company I is commanded by Cadet Captain Ainsley Davenport from Alexandria, Kentucky. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Reuben Jones from Durham, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song, "The Army Goes Rolling Along." Please feel free to sing along as it is played. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's review. Black Knights Alley, located between gates 1 and 3 of Mikey Stadium, is now open and will close at kickoff. Come on up and support the Army football team as they prepare to take on the Bears of Morgan State University. Please remain in your seats as the United States Military Academy parachute team will now conduct a free fall demonstration. After the demonstration, please feel free to visit the many static displays that have been set up at the branch. We would like to find out to please get off the plane as you exit the parade grounds. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your Beat Morgan State.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Cadet Jordan Davis from Company I-2, and it is my privilege and pleasure to today this amazing demonstration of precision freefall accuracy performed by your West Point parachute team, the Black Knights. Please direct your attention skyward as 6 highly trained jumpers approach the plane in our LUH-72 Alpha, the Lakota aircraft, on their way up to an altitude of 4,500 feet. We are 1 minute from exit, and the Lakota is on jump run. The jump master is in communication with the jumpers through a series of hand and arm signals known as jump command. His head is out in the wind as he gives the pilots precise adjustments to ensure the proper exit point. You can hear and see the Lakota flying across the sky as the jumpers wait for exit from the jump master. And the jumpers are out. The team leader takes his heading, and the remaining jumpers fly their bodies apart using their hands, arms, and legs as flight controls. The team leader waves his arms, signaling the jumpers to deploy their parachutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 6 good canopies in the air. The team is piloting sport accuracy canopies. They control their flight into the plane with 2 steering toggles. The jumpers can pull either toggle in their desired direction to maneuver their canopy in the sky. The jumpers work together to create horizontal and vertical separation, making a formation known as the stack. The aircraft in today's demonstration is flown by pilots from the 2nd Aviation Detachment stationed at Stewart Airport. The team would like to thank our incredibly talented pilots for their dedication and support shown to the parachute team. Colonel retired Enmar Dave Gabriel founded the Black Knights parachute team in 1958. The team's founding marked the first ever military parachute demonstration team. The team has developed immensely over the years to allow the jumpers you see in the sky now to maneuver their way into the plane with incredible precision. Each year, approximately 10 fourth-class cadets are chosen to become members of the Black Knights parachute team after a long and rigorous tryout process. At 1,000 feet, the jumper does what is called a penetration check, checking their distance and speed across the ground. The jumper starts their pattern with a downwind leg, followed by a base leg, and finishes their pattern by turning into the wind for their final approach. The first jumper has completed their pattern and is now on their final approach. At this height, the jumpers under canopy can definitely hear encouragement from the crowd. And leading in the stack today is Sergeant First Class Ian McGlynn. Sergeant First Class McGlynn is our team's non-commissioned officer in charge and has over 1,121 jumps. Let's welcome in Sergeant McGlynn. And coming in next in the stack is Rachel Kinnison. Cadet Kinnison is from Tucson, Arizona, and is a member of Company F1. Let's get loud and welcome Cadet Kinnison as she completes jump number 236. Up next in the stack is Tommy Yaus from Cincinnati, Ohio. Cadet Yaus is a member of Company G4, and today is completing jump number 216. Put your hands together for Cadet Yaus. Fourth in the stack is Matt Blavis from Rochester, New York. Cadet Blavis is a member of Company C2. Today, he is completing jump number 215. Put your hands together for Cadet Blavis. And a beautiful landing. Up next in the stack is Matt Black from Sutherland, Oregon. Cadet Black is a member of Company E4, and today is completing jump number 248. Put your hands together for Cadet Black. Another gorgeous landing. Finishing the stack today for your Black Knights and jumping our nation's colors is Sophie Andel from Juno Beach, Florida. Cadet Andel is a member of Company F1. Today, she is completing jump number 232. Put your hands together for Cadet Andel. Ladies and gentlemen, show your support for the Wings of West Point as the pilots of 2nd Aviation Detachment perform a flyby. Let's give our jumpers another round of applause for a job well done. This concludes today's demonstration. On behalf of the Black Knights Parachute Team, thank you for your support. Blue skies and go Army, beat Morgan State.